Hello, my name is Lisa, and you're very welcome to the Menstrual Mastery Collective. In this video, I am going to explain to you what the collective membership is all about, and hopefully it's a good fit for you. So let's dive in. So maybe you are here because you suffer in some way with your menstrual cycle. Maybe you have been experiencing period pain for years. Maybe you have been diagnosed with endometriosis, or you suspect that that could be something that's happening for you. Maybe there's PMDD in the premenstrual phase, or symptoms similar to PMDD, or very intense PMS as well. Or perhaps you suffer in some other way with your menstrual cycle. Or it could be that you're navigating the perimenopause and you're struggling with that. There could also be other types of chronic pain happening in your life: physical pain, headaches, backache, cyclical pain, things that are linked to your cycle that keep coming up for you, and that you don't know why they're there or what's going on. Maybe you have lost your energy. Maybe you feel completely depleted, completely burnt out. You don't feel like you have a lot to give, but you really want to give more to your life, more to your work, more to your creativity, more to your family and friends, and you want more from life, but you're just feeling like you don't have the energy anymore. Maybe you've even been around the block when it comes to trying different things, and you're still looking for answers, and no one has been able to help you, and you don't want to give up hope. You are sure, and you're so clear that there is hope for you, and your intuition is telling you to keep looking for answers. And so you're here to look for answers and to try a new way. So you are then, if you found my work, you're open to a mind-body approach to healing and recovery. You are open to looking at both hormones and the nervous system. You are open to coaching around this, to understanding yourself on a deeper level and getting the right support from people who have this lived experience. So maybe you have tried lots of medications. Maybe you've tried surgery. Maybe you've tried a lot of supplements. I know I did. Maybe you've tried herbs, nutrition plans, all different types of therapies, mindfulness, breath work, even acupuncture. All these things can be really helpful, but sometimes they can only take us so far. Maybe you've spent a lot of money and a lot of time on a lot of different healing modalities looking for answers, but these practices haven't been sustainable for you. They haven't gotten results for you. Or in the worst of cases, maybe these practices have left you feeling overwhelmed and at a loss, and you are still really struggling. You're feeling stuck, and maybe you even really still dread your cycle. Maybe you're living in hypervigilance, managing your life around symptoms, around chronic pain, and in fear of what's happening in your own body. So if you can relate to any of this, you're very welcome, and you are definitely in the right place. So hello, my name is Lisa de Jong. I am a women's health coach specializing in the menstrual cycle, chronic pain, and trauma. So I also have a lived experience with period pain and chronic pain ever since being a young girl, since probably after a year after I got my first period when I was about 15. I had debilitating period pain. My mother would have to collect me from school, and it was really affecting my life, and I didn't know what to do about it. There weren't many places I could go to talk about it, and the doctor only had limited options in terms of treatments. And so I was on the pill, I was off the pill, on the pill, off the pill, tried a lot of different pain medications, even had 2 surgeries for endometriosis, one in Ireland and one in the UK. And ultimately, a lot of these things helped in the short term, but they just weren't sustainable. I became so dedicated and so passionate and so eager to look for an answer. There had to be something else going on for me. And I started to take a lot of courses, learn all about hormones, learn all about women's health, psychology, mindfulness, spirituality, yoga, even at one point trained as a Pilates instructor to help me understand the physiology. And I went on a long journey of understanding the mind-body connection when it comes to menstrual pain and menstrual suffering. And so this collective, this membership is all about that body of work. I've since held workshops in Ireland, abroad, online, and I've coached and supported women all around the world when it comes to their menstrual cycle. And I now specialize in helping women and people with menstrual cycles who suffer in some way with their cycle to find peace with their cycle, to heal through a mind-body approach, and for their healing and their recovery to not be stressful or something difficult that they have to achieve. Thankfully for me, at one point on my journey, when I was working with clients and I was still struggling, my own clients were getting better results than me, and I was still learning, still curious. And then I realized I learned something about pain psychology, pain science, which is something we're going to look at in the program, that helped me immensely when it comes to my menstrual cycle. So I'm now in my late 30s, and I'm very grateful to say that I no longer suffer with my cycle in the same way that I used to. I didn't have to overhaul my diet. I didn't have to completely change my lifestyle. I had to learn how to relate to my cycle in a different way. I had to learn how to regulate my nervous system. And I had to learn the 7 menstrual cycle mastery skills that are really easy to learn, but that are very, very important when it comes to balancing our hormones and regulating our nervous system and down regulating fear in the body and bringing down inflammation. So this is my body of work, and I'm very excited to have you here and present this to you today. I'm very, very happy to be able to now go on holidays fear-free. I don't fear pain anymore. I don't fear my menstrual cycle. I trust myself with my cycle. I'm not afraid to take on extra work. I'm not afraid to go to the airport, to go to concerts, to have beautiful, nourishing relationships in my life. It used to be that my cycle would control my life and limit my life, and my life felt quite small. And I'd have to spend a lot of time inside, and I'd be afraid to leave the house. And that is no longer the case for me. I'm very much embracing life to the fullest. And that's not to say that I don't suffer like any human does with pain once in a while, but I am not controlled by it. And this is the gift that I want to give to you, because this is so much more than just your menstrual cycle. This is about your life, embracing life, living life, and not feeling like we have to withdraw from life because of our menstrual cycle. So let me present you the 7 menstrual cycle mastery skills. So this is the core of the work that I teach and that you are going to be learning in this program, that you are going to be practicing in this program, that you are going to be getting coaching on, that I'm going to support you with. This is the methodology that I specialize in. So we have nervous system nourishment, hormone harmony, menstrual cycle awareness, rewiring pain pathways, emotional clarity, relationship harmony, and soulful self-care. So let's get into it. Nervous system nourishment is the very important foundation of this work. We are going to learn about the role of your nervous system in the menstrual cycle. The female nervous system is different to the male nervous system, and we're going to learn about the intersection of female sex hormones and your nervous system. If you identify as neurodivergent or a highly sensitive person, or maybe you don't identify as those things, but you maybe have sensitivities in other ways in your life, then we have to come to really understand what is happening in the landscape of your hormones and how that impacts your nervous system and how we can support your nervous system. So we support you to create a regulated nervous system, which helps to reduce inflammation and pain signals. And this is very important. If we are always in a fight-flight response, if we are always in protective responses or even in trauma responses, then our nervous system is in a protective mode, which is, I guess it's doing its role, but sometimes we don't need to always be in that protective role. And if we're always in that hypervigilance all the time, we've got cortisol and adrenaline on all the time, and then it's just inflammation every day, and that is contributing to your symptoms. So in this program, we start with the nervous system, and that lays the foundation for our work. Number 2, the second skill is hormone harmony. So we're going to learn and practice the skills of hormonal balance through diet, lifestyle, and blood sugar balance. We're going to build a nourishing and confident relationship with food and movement without restriction. So I used to think that balancing my hormones meant going on very restrictive diets and very strict protocols and very strict, rigid routines for exercise and movement. And if I did it wrong, then that was the reason why I was having pain that month. And there was a lot of self-blame and self-criticism and all these rules. And, all those rules were creating a lot more stress and inflammation in my body. So we have to not completely neglect that, but learn how to approach our food and our diet and our relationship with our hormones in a new way that is different to the male biology. Okay, it's very, very different way to fuel the male physiology than the female physiology, for example, for exercise. And we learn that through diet and nutrition. And the good news about this skill is that when you start to learn this, it's very easy. You see the results instantly. The next day, you notice a difference. The third skill we are practicing is menstrual cycle awareness. So, in this skill, we are creating a new relationship with your cycle for every week of the month, not just the quote unquote problem week. Okay. So we're creating a new relationship with the cycle and learning how to relate to our cycle in a kinder way. A lot of us maybe think of our menstrual cycle as a burden or a problem. I used to hate my period. Every time I got period pain, or even the week before my period, I would just think, oh, I hate my period. I don't like it at all. And all that negative self-talk towards that very important part of my body was part of the problem, was part of the toxicity in my system, was part of the inflammation and the pain and the suffering. And I had to really heal that self-talk and that relationship. So we learn to understand the ebb and flow of your cycle, all the different phases, the seasons of the cycle, and we learn how to work with your cycle rather than against it. And we don't do this in a way that's rigid. We're not cycle syncing here every single week of your calendar. That's very stressful, and it's not how I work. We take a very nuanced, relational, gentle, and very compassionate approach to menstrual cycle awareness. Then skill number 4 is rewiring pain pathways. This is my favorite skill because this is the one that gave me the most results. So dreading and fighting our cycle creates fear and stress hormones in our brain and in our nervous system. Okay. So in this skill, we learn how to unlearn pain psychology and create new non-pain neural pathways in our brain. If you are someone who's had chronic pain for many years or menstrual suffering for many years, then we anticipate pain before it's even there. It's actually hard to be with ourselves when we're not in pain because we're thinking about when pain is coming. So this is part of the problem. What we're doing is when we're constantly thinking and worrying about pain, we are again in fight or flight mode. We're pressing the buttons in our brain to expect pain, and it becomes part of the problem. And we do this because we're protecting ourselves and we want to protect ourselves against pain. But there is a really good way to unlearn these pain neural pathways. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do this in the membership so that you can practice these skills when you're in pain, when you're experiencing all that fear and dread of pain. And again, you will see results within a couple of days of learning this very, very, very important skill. Skill number 5, emotional clarity. This is so important, and it's not really talked about a lot in this space of wellness, in the health space. Suppressed and repressed emotions create something called emotional inflammation in our body. Okay. So we are going to learn how to build safety with emotions. We're going to learn how to process them skillfully and cleanly every single cycle so that they don't get clogged up in our systems. Okay. So for many of us, we might have a difficult relationship with certain emotions. For example, maybe we struggle with anger. Maybe we struggle with difficult feelings like resentment or jealousy or our own inner critic, all these difficult emotions, or grief can be another one as well. Or even sometimes the more positive emotions like excitement and joy and love, they can be hard to let in because we risk being hurt when we really allow ourselves to go there. So when we are blocking our emotions, and this is very common, very normal, it's also very cultural. I'm from Ireland and we're not taught to feel our emotions. We're kind of, in our society, we're kind of taught to kind of put them away and block them away. But when we create emotional safety and a lot of spaciousness, and we bring the skill of processing our emotions, and you bring them to me, to the coach, to the group as well in the membership, you will learn how to skillfully process your emotions with your cycle, with your nervous system, in your relationships, in your life, in your work life, in your creativity, in your creativity as well. And this will really help to regulate your nervous system, which also then allows your hormones to balance too. Skill number 6, relationship harmony. This is also very, very important. So practicing, cultivating and nurturing healthy relationships throughout your life. This is about enjoying all our relationships. Relationship drama or relationship stress can wreak havoc on your well-being. We all know what it's like to have problems in our relationships, whether it's in our family or in our romantic relationships or in our friendships. And all we're doing is we're thinking about it and worrying about it, and we're crying and we're grieving, or we're angry or frustrated, or we're getting triggered. All those emotions can be very, very harmful on your nervous system and on your well-being. Okay, so we're not saying to walk away from all those relationships, but in this skill we are going to be supporting you to clean up relationships, to start to cultivate more nourishing ones and have healthy relationships, because the healthy relationships allow you to thrive and your nervous system to heal. And that includes the relationship with yourself and the relationship with our menstrual cycle. Finally, skill number 7 is soulful self-care. Okay. Self-care, it's a bit of a buzzword. Self-care can feel like, oh, it's another should that, women are told to do, or it's this concept that can really send us into guilt when we start to practice self-care, particularly if you're, working, or if you've got kids and you start practicing self-care, the guilt can come in. Okay. In the Menstrual Mastery Collective, we are learning how to practice self-care that is not another thing on the to-do list, but rather it's self-care that nourishes you from the inside out, that feels like an exhale. Okay, so I'm not going to be telling you to take up new hobbies and start doing more facials, etc. Well, if you want to, great. But this is more about finding a new relationship that feels true to you for how you engage with self-care. So how does all of this come together? My goal for you is to have peaceful menstrual cycles, no matter where you are in your menstrual cycle or no matter what your problem is. And there are 4 pillars to this work. The first pillar is we're going to be learning and practicing the 7 menstrual cycle mastery skills. You're going to be taking that information from your head into your body, and you're going to start living the 7 menstrual cycle mastery skills. You are going to become a master of these skills. You are going to achieve menstrual cycle mastery in your own life. Then you are going to receive expert coaching. So from learning the skills in the program, you're going to come on live coaching calls with myself and with my colleagues. And when you are struggling with something related to one of the skills, or if you want help with something, or if there's a problem area that's coming up for you in relation to this work, you will be able to receive coaching from us to help you navigate through blind spots or navigate through challenges. The third pillar is you're going to pay it forward to others, which is so important. We all know that when we start to teach something, we ourselves learn even more and we embody it more deeply. So as you integrate the work, your presence strengthens the group. So you will have the opportunity to support other members in the program and support them on their journey too, just like you've been supported. And then, of course, the 4th pillar is being part of a collective. It can be so good to read a book or to try to do this all by yourself. And I've been there, but my personal and professional experiences, the people who get the best results are in community, are speaking the same language. We surround ourselves with people who speak that same language, who encourage us, who are also on the path of recovery and healing, who are ambitious about their healing and their recovery, and in that same mindset of it doesn't have to be hard work, and we're not blaming anyone here or blaming ourselves. There's no victim blaming, but we're here to encourage and support and comfort each other through the highs and lows of this work. So I want to also just show you this stages of healing model. As a professional working in this space, I've seen how people move through different phases, and you might recognize yourself in some of these phases. So this is what I like to call the stages of healing. So down here we have the coping phase. This is where I was when I was going to the doctor, trying lots of things, just kind of getting through, maybe putting my head in the sand and I didn't really know what to do. I was just coping through, maybe in a bit of denial about what was actually happening. When it comes to menstrual cycle suffering, sometimes if we have suffering only 1 week of the month, we write it off and then we forget about it, and then it comes back around and we just kind of pretend it's not really an issue, but it really, really is. And it's a whole week of your month. Then we move into the reaction phase. This is where we're reading all the books, listening to all the podcasts, trying all the supplements, spending a lot of money, doing all the healing, and just in reaction mode. We move into hope phase. We're like, there's a lot of hope. We're wanting more answers. We are maybe vulnerable to magic pills, magic answers, all different programs, things to try. So there can be a lot of hope. And then we hit a barrier. This is called the stuck stress barrier. This is where the hope and all the things in the reaction phase become stressful and the self-care list becomes overwhelming, and then we just get stuck. Okay, so you might really relate to that. I certainly could. Then we move into the clarity phase. That's where we realize, oh, this works, this doesn't work, this is what I need, this is what I don't need. In this coaching program, you are taking what you like and leaving the rest. The 7 menstrual cycle mastery skills are not extra things on your to-do list. They are a way of living. They are a way of life. They are a way of thinking. They are a way of relating to your nervous system and your menstrual cycle. It is not extra things to do. It's a framework for life. Okay. And then you get to the good enough barrier where we're thinking, oh, am I good enough? Is my healing good enough? Is what I'm doing good enough, etc. And then we move through that through very good coaching and being supported. And you finally get to the phase called the trust phase, which is where you are able to let go of all of the tools and the frameworks and the books and the podcasts. You can trust yourself with your menstrual cycle, with your nervous system, with maybe the chronic pain condition you have or the diagnosis that you have. You know what you need. And your focus goes from reading all the books and thinking about the problem all the time to what holiday can I book? What concert can I go on? Which date can I go on? What's happening in your life? What do you want to create in your life? Are you having a family? Are you building a business? What are you going to manifest in your life? And that's where I want you to be. So your results from practicing the 7 menstrual cycle mastery skills, being in community with me, receiving coaching from me, being in the space with other like-minded people, you are going to see a reduction in symptoms and suffering. I can really promise that. You are definitely going to see a reduction in symptoms and suffering. You'll build a new experience with your cycle. You'll build a new relationship with your cycle. You will be able to handle the fear and the anxiety and the worry. You'll have a lot more nourishment in your body. You will achieve menstrual cycle mastery. You will build more self-trust and confidence in yourself in terms of your healing. You will have the whole toolbox full of skills and supports. You will be able to book a holiday. There's me and my now husband in New York, at the Brooklyn Bridge. I used to dread traveling. I used to always manage my schedule around my cycle. I'd be really afraid of going anywhere, going to concerts, going on holidays. And now I say yes to those things. I can't predict what's going to happen in the future, but I've managed to heal all that inflammation that I had in my body through that mind-body approach. And now I feel like I can create the life that I want. Maybe you want to book your own holiday. Maybe you want to get a new job or start a creative project or go to the concert and go out with your friends and no longer be canceling plans. These are the results that are available to you. You're going to have peaceful cycles, a nourished body and a nervous system, and you will get your energy back. And you can laugh, you can eat what you want, and ultimately you will be able to feel free in yourself, which is my goal for you. So how it works, you're going to join the collective. It is a minimum of 3-month commitment. And after that, you can come and go as you like. You can access all the teaching in the online space. So all of the videos and the module on each of the skills is available to you to watch in your own time. So take your time moving through the material. Then you're going to hop on live coaching calls every week or every second week as works for you, or once a month, whatever you like. There's going to be calls that are recorded so you can watch them in your free time. Put your hand up for coaching, ask questions, reach out to me, reach out to each other, and engage in the work and start practicing the skills. And you will join the online community and maybe make friends with other people. And you're going to celebrate your wins and all of your progress. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to seeing you. And if you have any questions at all, make sure to get in touch.